entrepreneur and I'm going on my 5th year.
Welcome to the Virtual Café podcast, where we tell stories that slap straight from people who have been through the mud but never collapsed. Today's guest is someone whose work has moved through billion-dollar brands, but whose wisdom moves even deeper. Meryl Debrosse is more than a consumer insights leader. She's a truth teller, a builder, a mentor, someone who knows how to pull clarity from chaos and keep the soul in strategy. Her journey spans science labs, boardrooms, and some of the most beloved brands in the world. But what I truly admire is how she always leads with self-awareness, substance, and heart. So today we're not just talking shop, we're talking pivots, pressure, personal growth, and everything in between. Let's get into it.
Thank you, Jose. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Happy to have you. Last time we saw each other was at Quirks. How did you like that
I
event?
had a blast. Quirks is literally one of my favorite weeks of the year, so I was very excited to be there, and it was great to see you in person.
Yeah, it was awesome to see you in person. It was my first event. It was my first Insights event, actually.
Okay.
It was a vibe though. I liked it.
It is. I mean, I was very lucky, and I saw somebody from each company that I've worked at. So it was kind of a nice like walk down memory lane, and just it's a great opportunity to catch up with people. In addition to finding out all of the new and good things coming, down the pike in the industry and methodologies and all of that. So it's always an exciting time. And New York, is a perfect backdrop for any event, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, New York's definitely the spot. I always find it difficult like explaining insights to friends and family members at barbecues. So when people ask you, outside the industry, what do you actually tell them that you do?
So I tell them that I am part of the marketing team, which, okay, so from right there, they kind of understand that part, and that I interview consumers and then in my current role, healthcare providers to make sure that we get their feedback on the products and services that we are providing. And so that in itself is the easy part to explain, but some of the other things that is a bit harder to kind of understand is maybe like the analysis on like point of sale data, some of those panels and things that we do as well. That's a bit harder to explain. But when I say that I interview and write questionnaires and get feedback from consumers, that part they understand. How
Okay.
about you? Like, what do you normally say?
I pretty much say that people who are marketing would use consumer insights to make money and save money. You
Okay.
know, pretty
Yes.
much. That's there.
Yeah.
It's like having a crystal ball before you actually spend the money.
Yeah, and I was talking to some folks last week, and another thing that I said is we mitigate or reduce risk for moving forward with strategies or new products and things like that. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I like that way too. Putting
Yeah.
but your journey originally started in like molecular biology, right?
Yes.
So so
Yes.
take us through that. How'd you get to insights from biology?
I was working in a lab, and I was working at the bench. We were doing chemical testing for the FDA and for some big pharmaceutical companies. And funny enough, my husband got a temp job at Procter and Gamble as a lab assistant. So he was in charge of cleaning benches and cataloging chemicals and just doing any of the things that the scientists there needed. And he did such an amazing job. They decided to hire him. And, as he was going through the journey, he was like, oh, there's this role called products research. And it was just like I was just sitting on the sideline listening to his new hire experience, and I was just captivated. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's such a rock star. This is so amazing. He was flying out to Cincinnati for training, and it would just seem so cool. And, I kind of in my mind created this story like, what if I could do this? But, never thought that it could happen. And 2 years in, they've had 4 open roles. I interviewed, and the rest was history. And I actually had the opportunity to either do products research, which is basically like consumer technical insights. So this is the consumer insights, but more on the technical side, or embedded in an R&D organization, or to be part of the process team, which is the team that takes formulas and transforms the formula cards to the plant.
Mm.
And those roles, you actually get promoted pretty quickly. And so, I'm a very competitive, ambitious person. It's something at the last minute said, do the products research role. And I'm so glad that I did. So from day one, I was learning how to write questionnaires and running focus groups. And I mean, I can tell you the first time I spoke to a consumer, I was terrified, didn't even know how to kind of interact with them, was just super nervous. But I've come a long way in my career, so that's how I got into it, and completely accidental. And I think for me, that's one of the reasons why I am passionate about college recruiting and mentoring, because I want young people, especially like people of color, Black people, to know about these roles. Because I think, we think of success as only one way, but this is a very successful career you can have. It's math based, it's very rigorous, and you can really have a many different experiences, I think, across the insights industry. And it's only going to continue to become more specialized and more important moving forward.
Yeah, I love that. I've seen multiple people with marketing roles and multiple people with consumer insights roles. It's part of my job, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
oddly enough, I feel as if, and I don't know why this is,
Mm,
but I feel as if there's more job security in being a consumer insights person. I'll look at someone and their marketing experience, and marketeers, it's like they're the GM. It's like they're the first to go,
yeah.
but insights people, they have like these extended tenures at these companies. And it's interesting because consumer insights is kind of really early, in terms of that exposure to our community, like you said,
Yes,
you know?
absolutely. And I agree. And I think that the part of the reason why insights careers have the longevity is, in a lot of ways, we end up being the knowledge holders, and we are running research. We are partnering with our brand teams. And we're not necessarily the ones making the decisions, right? We're conducting research. We're ensuring that, the vendors that we hire are doing what they need to do, but also we are helping to set strategy and, like we mentioned earlier, reduce risk. And I think it's because we also end up being kind of in the background. We're not in the forefront. We're not the ones necessarily getting all of the credit for this or that when things go well, but like a good insights person, their fingerprint is going to be all over the work that their team is doing, right? The team can't really move forward without the touch of someone on the insights team. So I think because of that, if you're a person who really wants to be out in front, getting all of the praise and things like that, insights is not for you. I love the fact that I am the wind, the support, the foundation for the teams. I love having dabbling and putting my hands in things, but not necessarily being the person out front. And so I think that also contributes to some of the longevity in an insights career.
Yeah, I guess insights would be like the Dennis Rodman of the marketing world.
Yes, yes. I mean, like, you can't get it done without him, but well, maybe not Dennis Rodman, right? Because he's a little bit flashy. Like,
True, true.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe
Um,
maybe Draymond Green.
Yeah, right. Like, someone who is like, if they weren't there to kind of do some of the legwork, it really wouldn't happen, but yet they're not going to be getting like all of the focus. Yeah, absolutely. Personally love that. I love being a supporter, but knowing when I see certain things like that, that was me,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Absolutely. One of the things that I hear the most is that there's this disconnect and like the impact of research,
Mm,
right? And improving the impact of research, especially to marketeers or senior stakeholders who like they're creative, they're more focused on gut feel and things of that nature. So my question to you is, you've been behind these, decision-making processes for billion-dollar brands, right?
mm.
When was the first time you truly felt heard?
Um, that's a good question. Well, okay, I'll just give an example. So there was a product that I was working on when I was in color cosmetics, and we had been killing ourselves to ensure that a concealer stick, we were making sure that the stick and the package matched perfectly. And we were going through great lengths to color match it and a lot of work. And finally, we got it right. And we were really excited. And I had some samples. We had like a qualitative panel that met once a month. So any of us on the color cosmetics team could go, and it was my month to moderate the focus group. So I had space on my discussion guide. And so I was like, oh, I'm just going to show them the concealer and see what they think. And they looked at it and they were like, oh, this is great. It's wonderful. And then one lady like raised her hand and I'm like, yep, what do you think? And she's like, this is great, but I feel like I'm really getting gypped for the amount of product that there is. And I'm like, huh? Because I knew that it had the same amount of ounces as, the current product or some other similar products. And as she started to talk more, I realized she didn't understand that you turned it up like a lipstick and that there was a whole stick of product. All she could see was the little top part of it. And I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. So then I went back to the team and I'm like, guys, we have to put some kind of instructions on the pack so that consumers understand, because it's completely like not clear. And we had been talking to ourselves for so long, and we understood it inside and out. We didn't think about how consumers were going to react to it or interact with the product. And it was a product that wasn't expected to make a lot of money. And so therefore we didn't do any research on it and we were just going to launch it. And this happens a lot, as you said, for billion-dollar brands, and because we just don't have research dollars to look at everything. And so that was, I think, one of the most memorable times for me of being heard on the team. And so we made the change and we put like turn up or something like on the pack so that consumers knew how to use it. So yeah, just going back to what you said earlier about like how to kind of quantify the impact. Again, insights people, I think we're so used to being in the background. Sometimes we even take a backseat to the way that we talk about our contributions. And we've got to do a better job. We've got to take notes from our brand people because our brand people, they know how to market anything. And you know what, honestly, there have been times where for me it's hard. I will actually ask one of my brand people to sit with me and help like write my mid-year end of year contributions because they are just really creative. My sister works in brand and she has helped me with my resume before, and she's just like throwing out these like terms and I'm like, oh, that sounds so great, like, and it's like actually me.
Yeah.
So yeah, they do a really good job at that. We need to leverage that.
I love that. So you've lived through pivots, pressure, and progress, right? What's one chapter that doesn't make it on the resume but really made you who you are today?
It's the chapter before I started even as a products researcher, right? My desire as a child was to go to medical school. I mean, like what kid doesn't say that they want to be a doctor? And that's how I studied biological sciences. And my college career just did not follow my education up until that point. I'd been an excellent student, top student, and college just things were different. I think college is the time where you learn how to be an adult. And I think part of being an adult is prioritizing yourself. And I think that's super important in college because you no longer have the stability of your family to prioritize your life. And so this is the first time where you have to do this for yourself. And I was still prioritizing everything else except for me. And so my college career was just not successful. And it was extremely devastating. And I was just like, I have to figure something out. Like, I have to make this work. I have to be successful, even though this is failing. And I started doing pharmaceutical research. I really didn't enjoy being at the bench every day because it was repetitive. One of the things I love about insights is that every day it's something different. There's so many different modalities and methods and just parts of the business and things that I'm involved in. So there's never a dull moment. But at that time, I was just like, I really don't like being at the bench. I don't think I want to pursue further in biology. Even though I love STEM and science, I just didn't want to go deeper into biology. And so it was really a crossroads. So by the time I got this job as a products researcher, for me, it was you've got to be all in, and this is your opportunity. And so that was a huge pivot moment. And then the moment when I left research and development to do consumer insights on the marketing side was another huge moment. And I think both of those moments required me to be brave and to dig in. And I remember the first year when I was at Unilever and CMI was laser focused. I got to work very early in the morning. I left at a certain time. I rarely kind of like hung around, and not that I wasn't friendly and didn't make friends, but I was just like, this is make or break for me, and I'm taking it extremely seriously. I'm going to learn everything I can. There's nothing that I can't learn or brush up on or improve. I'm going to do everything I can to just make sure that I know my stuff really well.
Yeah, and the truth behind that is like we all need those periods of isolation and focus, because learners are earners. The faster you learn, the faster you earn. At times that can be a bit isolating and lonely or whatever, but you got to get through it, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think when I started at P&G, I was also unapologetically like willing to do anything that people wanted me to do. Whatever people needed me to do that just wasn't sexy, wasn't pretty, I like raised my hand. Okay, yes, I'll do it. You need me to photocopy questionnaires. You need me to, go run and grab lunch. You need me to set up the snacks for, the focus group. Whatever it was, I was willing to do it, just very humble. And I think that helped a lot. It also endeared me to people who had lots of experience and then they were willing to teach me things.
We touched upon that last time, the willingness to do the grunt work and like learn those skills, because you'll be surprised how many times I might speak to someone in insights and they really don't like doing questionnaires or building surveys. It's a part of their job, but they don't like to do it.
Yeah.
So the fact that you sharpened your sword and got really good at the things that other people don't like to do, definitely brilliant on your end.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it goes back to just being humble and also identifying what are the fundamental skills for the role. And I think questionnaire writing is one of those skills. The other one that's kind of the flip side to questionnaire writing is reviewing the questionnaires when you get them like from the vendor. And I just
Mhm.
remember the first time that I looked at it, it's like there's all of these codes and I'm like, what do all these things mean? So confusing.
Yeah.
But now like I'll like just review questionnaires like very quickly and so yeah, it's a fundamental skill.
For sure. You've sat in some really powerful rooms, right? What's one belief about leadership or success that you had to unlearn along the way?
That leaders have all the answers because they don't. I think the other thing that's super important in when you're dealing with like top leaders in your organization is being able to understand the feedback that they're giving. I can't tell you enough how much of an issue this is with people because a lot of times you're in a room, the leaders are talking, nerves are high because you're like talking to your senior vice president or the president of the company or someone who's really at a high level, and you can walk away from that meeting with like five or six different ideas of what the follow-ups are. And
Yeah.
I think, it's being unapologetic if you don't understand something in that moment to say, so I think this is how I captured it. Then the next steps are going to be X, Y, and Z. It's a skill to be able to hear what they're saying and then to be able to figure out what the follow-ups are. Because I just have seen so many people run off, on a wild goose chase of like, oh, the leader said that they want us to do, 100 cell test. And it's like, no, that's not what they said. And maybe they were having a lot of emphasis or passion and they were saying things, but that's not what they would ask us to do, because that's going to cost $1 million and they're not going to like want you to do, or it's going to take like 500 man hours, right? So no, that's not it. And if you don't understand, we have to be humble enough and brave enough to get clarity, or maybe put it in an email or something like that afterwards, so that we're not chasing our tail. Because leaders, at the end of the day, they're people. I wouldn't want my team to be running off doing things that because they just didn't ask the questions or understand what I was saying. So, they don't have all the answers. That's why we're here, is because we're supposed to give them information so that they can make better decisions. So that's, I think, a huge thing about leadership that I've had to learn over the years.
Absolutely. Clarity is important. And I think there's ego associated with it, wanting to appear as this person who's all knowing when no one's all knowing, right?
Exactly.
So let's talk chaos. What's a moment that felt like everything was falling apart, but ended up being a setup for something greater?
I mean, there's the little things, like, you're running a study and you're trying, at least on the R&D side, there was products associated with the research that we would do, right? So we'd have to pack out, whether it's prototype 1, 2, and 3, you gotta put them in bags so they could be mailed out to the consumers, things like that. So there was always issues with that. There's always some kind of, oh, we're taking it down to the mailroom late, or it broke in transit, like like just all kinds of craziness with that. So, kind of like the little things. Or even now it's like, oh, the stem for whatever reason it's been held up, or it's not translated. Those things happen a lot. And you incur late fees or something like that. Yeah, I think those are some of the moments of chaos. But on a personal, like from a career progression perspective, there
Mhm.
was a moment where I was supposed to get promoted, and due to some things that were 100% out of my control, right? Some mergers and acquisitions, it never came to fruition.
Mhm.
And so I then took a short stint on the vendor side. And then 6 months after that, got laid off because they probably had overhired in response to the pandemic. It actually turned out to be a blessing, because I did get that experience with like point of sale data and, some of that syndicated data very up close and personal. I also think it helped me to be an even better vendor partner, because I could see on the other side like how frustrating it was when you don't have a strong partner on the client side, and just kind of how like, that impacted. Like, I remember that Thanksgiving, like I was working, and Christmas and stuff like that, and I'm like, I never want to be that type of client partner. So those are some of the examples of chaos.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that one. On the vendor side, for sure.
Yeah.
How do you protect your peace when the pressure is high?
I think at that moment it's like the non-negotiable. So like for me, I read my Bible every day.
Okay.
I try to move my body. I've become obsessed with Pilates. So like if things are crazy, that's the moment that I have to go to Pilates, right? I can't take that off the table, because I always walk out of there like, okay, shoulders are down. And sometimes I'll even have solutions like as I'm there. Family and friends are super important. I have a really great group of girlfriends right now that I've been very intentionally like cultivating those relationships. So yeah, it's knowing when things get rough and crazy, like what are the things that you have to do to take care of yourself that you cannot skimp out on. Sleep is another one. I'm still working on that one. Like I'm not that disciplined with that, but it's also
Familiar with
really
that.
important. Yeah, that one is harder, but that is like, I know for next year on my vision board, it's going to be like sleep is going to be one of the key things that I need to like, fix in my life.
What is keeping you up?
Um,
Like your
I think,
device?
say it again.
Like your device? Like are you a late scroller or
I am a late scroller. Um, but I think also just like nighttime becomes like the time when all the things kind of fall on you,
Mhm.
right? And so you're just like, "Oh, did I say this right? Did I do that? Did I forget this?" So for me, I need to cultivate a better sleep hygiene. So a
Yeah.
better routine, and probably also start like turning in earlier, even if I'm not sleeping, because they do say that rest counts. So like being in bed quiet is important just as sleeping. So like I just need to do more of that. So yeah.
That's the hardest part for me. I'm always watching something. I mean,
Yes.
that I think I forgot what the term was called. It was like it was something revenge.
Oh,
They say
yes. I know exactly
I
what you're
forgot
saying. I don't know
what
what
the
the
term was
term is,
called.
but it's basically like because you've been so busy throughout the day that you're taking your time for you back, and
Exactly.
in this like most non-productive, non-helpful way. Um,
Exactly.
yeah,
I'm looking it up now.
yeah. So I
I guess it's called revenge bedtime procrastination.
yes, 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 absolutely. And so there are nights where I have meetings with Asia in the evening. And on those nights, it's even worse because I'm like, I feel like I didn't have like my hour to 2 hours before time to kind of like just zone out. And so now I'm like scrolling, and next thing you know, it's 1 a.m. And last night was another one of those nights, and that's why I'm really struggling. So anyway,
Yeah. It's literally the same thing for me.
yeah.
Especially I find if you I just I have so many different interests. So,
Yes, absolutely.
I'll get pulled in so many different directions,
Absolutely.
I like NBA, sports goss this way, then anime, then whatever's on Netflix, and it's
Abs-
ridiculous. But
Yeah.
I definitely connect with you in terms of like creating a peaceful headspace when things start to get a little crazy. Like I also read my Bible every single day, and I find that is so important to just developing peace. Is like the body serves the mind serves the soul serves God. Like that's the way I try to, you
Oh,
know,
I love that. I love that. Yeah,
if
absolutely.
your body's off, your mind is off, your mind is off, your soul is off. Like it's just so like beyond the work, you say you're working out, you're doing the Pilates, you're reading your Bible. Who do you feel like you're becoming? What's something that you're learning, healing, or stepping into right now?
I think it's stepping into unapologetically me,
Okay.
not shrinking to make other people comfortable or to be palatable. It's something that I've done in probably every other era of my life. And so now this is the era where I'm not doing that. So like in 2020, my husband passed away. And I think that that was a huge moment for me of um that version of me just shattered. It reminds me of like in the X-Men movie, I think Jean Grey like blew that house up into like dust. And that was literally how my life blew up. And so it's been like taking the dust and like gluing it together with like a little mini, super glue tip. But because of that, it's like I am creating a whole new me, a whole new life, a whole new version, and I get to just be unapologetic about it. It also like radically changed my priorities. So things that mattered before don't matter, but then also things that I think I did not give enough attention to, I have put at the forefront. So this like phase of my life is just about being comfortable in my own skin. And the beautiful part about that is like you really get to see who is okay with that and who isn't. And I am just choosing to like move with where the love is, where the ease is, and not, just constantly fight against things. Just like go with the flow. Make changes where I need to, but go with
You brought up a point of like being unapologetically you, and I feel like just in corporate America right now, it's becoming more acceptable to
yeah.
be unapologetically you.
Yeah.
Because you were in insights in a time period where it wasn't as acceptable to be unapologetic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, even down to like when I interviewed, in my first role, like my hair was straight, right? And so now it's like I can't even imagine myself with straight hair anymore. Like that's not me.
Yeah.
So, so in every aspect, I think it's changing. People are able to kind of dress the way they want to and show up how they want to. And I love that. And I think that it really is the best thing. Like companies need to really embrace the differences in their employees because it's in those differences that like a lot of insights are born, right? We don't do the work to find the similarities. We are literally doing
Yeah,
the work to understand the differences, and so that needs to be
absolutely.
reflected in the actual organization as well.
Yeah, I love that. I've been I've been speaking with a whole bunch of different people who are showing up unapologetically as themselves, and I just think it's amazing to be in this right era. You've signed a few offer letters now, right?
Hmm.
Which one was the one that when you signed it, it felt like that the ending of Pursuit of Happiness, like with the with Will Smith? Was there an offer letter that you signed that you was like, wow, this one's I feel good about being here?
Yeah, so it was the one for that vendor, right? The one after I didn't get that promotion. Um, I gave them a number that I thought was crazy, and they just said yes. And for me, I had this number in my head, like up until that point, that I was like, when I hit this number, I know I have arrived. Which we know that that's garbage. But anyway, it was over that number. It was way over that number, and I completely skipped that number, right? So I went from right under that to over that, and I was just like, people say there are things and then there are things. And so that was one of those there are things and there are things. Yeah.
If the price doesn't make you smile, it's too low. I try to like live by that. Like if it doesn't make you smile, it's too low. I think
I have
especially
no smiles now. Let me just say that. No, I'm just kidding.
I think especially, with coming from where we come from, our community is we always are they say that Black people and Latino people, we don't even negotiate salary.
Right. Absolutely. And
We're
and
just happy
I'm
to
gonna
be in
be
the room.
yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, like I'm really bad with that. I have to do better. Um, yeah, we don't negotiate. And it's just so ingrained in like our work ethic, like we feel like we have to earn everything kind of like through blood, right? And
Yeah.
so like how can we do a better job of like just knowing that we belong, knowing that the value that we are creating in any organization that we're showing up in, understanding how like educated we are, like we don't show up halfway. So if
Mm.
we're in the room, we have probably scoped the room, we know what the carpet looks like we've done the work. So we need to own that. We need to
Have
own it.
Have you ever heard of Price's Law?
No.
This is whoo, this is one of them ones.
All right, you about to
But
drop the gems.
Price's Law is a um pretty much a theory that it's a theory that made by a guy named Price, which is great. It's gold. Um but it's the theory that 50% of the work is done by the square root of the number of workers.
Hmm.
So if you have 100 workers, 10 of them are responsible for 50% of the work.
I believe that.
So now I would imagine it will be relatively easier to negotiate your salary knowing that and
Yeah.
having the proof that, hey, this is what I actually bring to the table. I know you guys are telling me the salary is this, but
Yes.
I'm producing 10 times
Yes.
what I should be. You know,
Yes.
no reason you can't pay me double the salary,
I
you know?
mean, yes, and I think the whole thing about like salaries and things, at the end of the day, it's about the person who asks for it, right? Like, I mean, that's the bottom line, right? It's the person who fights for it, the person who asks for it, um, and it's really no deeper than that. If you don't ask, you're not going to get it. That's it.
But it's the value of anything, right? Like the same bottle of water that you buy from the supermarket for $1, you'll buy from Yankee
Oh,
Stadium for
yeah.
$7.
Yes.
So it's
Absolutely.
identifying how much value you possess and how much value you're bringing to the role, you know?
Yes. And nobody's going to know that but you. So you have to make sure that you're yelling it from the mountaintops in the way that your leadership can hear you, right? So you need to one understand what that is and then make sure that you do it. And then be persistent. Like just be a nail in their side. Like so what about my salary? What about that promotion? What about this opportunity? Like just don't give people any rest, because I've learned that it's the people who make the most noise that get what they want in the organization, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, right?
Yeah.
But that's the reality.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If younger Meryl could pull up a chair, what would she be proud of, and what would she call you out on?
She would be proud that I am moving in the direction of my goals. She would be very proud of that. And she'd be proud of the growth that I have doing the things that I want to do, like for me, and kind of being a little bit selfish right now. What she would probably call me out on is not celebrating enough.
Mm.
Yeah. And so I think that that is like, I think there's a, we have to learn how to celebrate, and it's not something that comes naturally for me. So it's like, so, I mean, this conversation right here is creating my vision board for next year. So we have sleep and we have celebration already on that vision board of things to work on
Yeah.
for 2026. So yeah, that's what she'd call me out on. And I would also say probably like not being kinder to myself for certain experiences, because I think that like, you know, you don't learn if you don't try, and sometimes when you try you fail, and that's okay. But you know, through the failure you learn more through failure than you do through success.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I love that. I love both of those points, celebrating and giving yourself grace, because I've I've kind of feel like that's also where I've been, over the past year specifically, is like I have to learn how to celebrate the small wins. And I'm right there with you. I think it's the idea of being a high achiever and always wanting more. The Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality. He's won
Yes.
3 games in the finals, and they're asking him, "Are you excited?" And he's like, "Job not done." I
Right.
think it's natural to be in that mentality. Um, but it's also so very important to celebrate those small wins, because that's what builds the momentum.
Absolutely. And it also keeps you from I think it keeps the lows away, some of those low lows, because sometimes we're just beating ourselves up, but it's like if you don't realize, like, look at how far you've come. Like you need to just kind of like chill out and just be in this moment, because you've come a long way. Yes, you're going to continue to move forward. We know this. That's who you are. But like enjoy this moment and revel in it.
Huge thanks to you, Meryl, for stopping by. She is proof that you do not have to choose between science and soul, between logic and leadership, between being strategic and being seen. If this conversation spoke to you, do me a favor, don't let it stop here. Share it, sit with it, send it to someone who needs to hear it. And if you're still figuring it out, still finding your voice, still fighting to be heard, just know that you are not alone. Until next time, stay blessed and highly caffeinated.
God woke me up. Fear don't live here, anxiety don't live here. Young entrepreneur and I'm going on my 5th year.